Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Tali. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my August TBR. If you may or may not know, I'm going to be participating in the Latinx Readathon. Latinx Readathon is hosted by Sophia, Lou, Nini, and Jane. I actually randomly was just like looking for any readathons for the month of August, and I found them on Twitter. And I'm excited to actually join for the very first time. It comes in the form of a bingo. As you guys can see, my dotted journal, this is the prompt, this is the form that they're doing it, and it has 20 prompts, and you don't necessarily need to read all 20 books. I think it's impossible. Only if you dedicate yourself to read a book every day, I think you'll do it, because there's 31 days in August. You'll be good. What we have to do is to complete one line, or horizontal or vertically, to complete the Latinx Readathon, or they gave us the choice of finishing 1 or 2 prompts of the bingo form. The readathon will run all month, so from August 1st all the way to August 31st, and there will be updates on their Twitter account, which I will put right here on top, and there will be also games. The prompts are pretty cool. There's an Afro-Latinx writer, a poetry book or a play, a short story collection, a plot centered around food, male to male romance, female to female romance, bi main character, trans non-binary main character, children or middle grade, set in a Latin American country, a Latin American classic, a retelling, the group book, a disabled main character. There's also plus-sized main character, non-fiction, an immigrant story, graphic novel, a backlist title, and a free space if you have extra time to do an extra book. 100 Years of Solitude by Garcia, and I'm going to be doing this for the prompt of a Latin American classic. And Gabriel Garcia Marquez, he is Colombian, he's a novelist, he's a short story writer, and he was also a journalist. The book is originally in Spanish, but I got it in English because I just feel more comfortable reading in English rather than Spanish. I do read in Spanish. I read, I write, I speak Spanish fluently, but for some reason I concentrate more when reading English. I've been seeing it everywhere, and that makes me happy, because Gabriel Garcia Marquez is one of my favorite writers, one of my favorite novelists. 100 Years of Solitude tells the story of the rise and fall, birth and death of a mythical town of Macondo through the history of the Buendia family. Inventive, amusing, magnetic, sad, and alive with unforgettable men and women, brimming with truth, compassion, and a lyrical magic that strikes the soul. This novel is a masterpiece in the art of fiction. This is 417 pages. Actually, my second time reading this. I read this one a long time ago, and I really want to read it again. So the second book that I will be reading is Mexican Gothic. I've been talking about this ever since July. I got this one in my Book of the Month box, and I'm going to be reading this for the prompt set in a Latin American country. This is set in Mexico. It is a horror, historical fiction, mystery, Gothic. There's many genres for this book actually, so it falls into a lot of categories. But it is set in Mexico, the year 1950. Plus Noemi, who receives a letter from her newlywed cousin to save her from a mysterious doom. She is very glamorous, as you guys can see from the cover. Her red dress, is it burgundy? It's actually burgundy. But she's also tough, and she's smart, and she's basically not scared of her cousin's husband. I guess he's scary to a lot of people. That's my prediction. I don't know if that's how this character is going to be described as. He heads to High Place, which is a distant house in the Mexican countryside. This house begins to invade her dreams. That it's scary because it falls in the horror genre, so I'm pretty excited to read this one. I think this is the first one that I'm going to start reading for the month of August, and it only has 300 pages. To be reading They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera, and this falls in the prompt of reading a book with a gay relationship between the main character. So I'm just going to read to you guys a little bit of synopsis of this book. On September 5th, a little after midnight, Death Cast calls Mateo Torres and Rufus Emeterio to deliver some bad news. They're going to die in less than 24 hours. Mateo and Rufus are totally strangers. but for different reasons, they're both looking to make a new friend on their end day. The good news is there's an app for that. It's called Last Friend, and through it, Rufus and Mateo meet up for one final epic adventure to live a lifetime in a single day. Really seen this book around. I think I've only seen it like once or twice. 373 pages. This is a YA LGBT contemporary fiction, and it looks amazing. Okay, that's the third book. The fourth book that I'm going to be reading is How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents. We need to read more Latinx books. I don't really see them around, and it's kind of sad. But this is by Julia Alvarez. I'm going to be reading this one for the prompt of an immigrant story. So this is about four sisters that grow up in two cultures, and the Garcia sisters are Carla, Sandra, Yolanda, and Sofia, and their family must flee their home in the Dominican Republic after their father's role in an attempt to overthrow the brutal dictator Rafael Trujillo is discovered. Well, they arrive in New York City in 1960 to a life far removed from their existence in the Caribbean. In the wondrous but not always welcoming USA, their parents try to hold on to their old ways as the girls try to find new lives by straightening their hair and wearing American fashions, and by forgetting their Spanish. For them, it is at once liberating and excruciating to be caught between the old world and the new. Here they tell their stories about being at home and not at home in America. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to relate this to this book. This is a fiction, historical fiction, and a YA. And it has a 3.64 on Goodreads. And it has 287 pages. Another prompt that I'm going to be doing is a backlist title. And I'm going to be rereading I'm going to be rereading I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter by Erika Sanchez. And she became one of my favorite authors ever since I read this book, because this became one of my favorite books, and I related to it so much. And I feel like a lot of people don't like this book because of the main character. She seems very annoying and bitch. Julia and her sister Olga, who dies in an accident. Julia is not a perfect daughter for her parents. Her mother always channels the way that, always pointing out every possible way that Julia has failed. A little twist at the end of this book. That's why I love it so much. It's kind of like a mystery kind of thing in this book. I'm guessing that's why I really like it, and since the beginning it made me cry because there's a death in the family. So some of the main themes that we see in this book is grief, not always going to live under your parents' expectations. And sometimes when people expect you to be very perfect, it sometimes leads you to have a lot of secrets, and that's what we get to read from in this book, and that's why I love it so much. These are all the books that I'm going to be reading for the Latinx Readathon, and then I'm going to be reading other books as well. Just on the side, Midnight Sun will be released on August 4th. I already ordered it, and hopefully it arrives that day, and that's I guess the fifth book of the Twilight series, but this time it's going to be in the perspective of Edward Cullen, and I'm actually excited. Their book that I'm going to be reading is White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. The author explores how white fragility develops and how it protects racial inequality, and what we can do to engage more constructively, and why it's so hard for white people to talk about racism. The last book that I'm going to be reading is a new release, which is The Golden Cage by Camilla Lekberg. I don't know how to pronounce her name. It was just released on July 7th. It has 352 pages, and it is a thriller, fiction, mystery, crime, and let's see. It follows Faye, who has loved Jack since they were students at business school, and Jack, who is the golden boy who grew up wealthy, unlike Faye, who has worked hard to bury a dark past. When Jack needs help launching a new company, Faye leaves school to support him, waitressing by day and working as his strategist by night. With the business soaring, Faye and Jack have a baby, and Faye finds herself at home caring for their daughter. wealthier than she ever imagined, but more and more removed from the excitement of the business world. And none of the perks of wealth make up for the fact that Jack has begun to treat her coldly, undermining her intelligence and forgetting all she sacrificed for his success. When Faye discovers that he's having an affair, the polished facade of their life cracks wide open. Faye is alone, emotionally shattered, and financially devastated, but hell hath no fury like a woman with a violent past. Jack is about to get exactly what he deserves, and so much more. In this splashy, electrifying story of sex, betrayal, and secrets, a woman's revenge is a brutal but beautiful thing. I'm excited to read this one. I haven't read a thriller in such a long time. All the books that I'm going to be reading for the month of August. And that's it. Alright, so that is all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!